The United States Army has gone through a lot of slogans. There's been slogans way back in, I think, like the 1800s, maybe even the 1700s possibly, but we're not going to go that far back. We're going to kind of go back to probably what a lot of people remember. We're going to go through some of the slogans, and I'm even going to give you like my top 3. I got 3 that are my favorite, and I want to hear in the comment section down below what maybe your number 1 is, number 2 is, number 3 is if you want, or just your top 1. That works too. But we got some slogans that we're going to go through. We're going to kind of cover starting from the World War I era. So we'll go through these slogans. Like I said, at the end, I'll give you my top 3, but we're starting off with the first one, the earliest one I even remember. That's the I want you, right? The I want you for the US Army, right? That's the Uncle Sam one. You know, everybody probably remembers those posters and everything. That was the one they had from World War I time frame for a while. They kind of, you know, used that probably all the way up until somewhere probably around the 1950s ish, somewhere around there. But that one's pretty iconic, and I remember that one. I like that one. It's a good one. You know, not too bad and everything. After a little bit later on, started to get a little bit weird, but nonetheless, moving on into the next one, we have during the 1950s to about 1971, they had a couple of different ones. They had choice, not chance, and they also had modern Army green. During this time frame, they were trying to get people to kind of like want to join, right? They had the draft going on, and if you were drafted, you're essentially going to go into whatever job in the Army they need you in. But they're trying to kind of promote you to voluntarily join. That's the whole point of that, the choice, not chance. You want to have a choice of what you're going to do, not take a chance that you're going to get a job that you enjoy. So that's kind of the whole, I guess, point behind the choice, not chance kind of slogan. But then they kind of went to the modern Army green one, but that was kind of the slogans that they had during the 1950s into the 1970s. And then from there, they advanced to a couple of different ones. They have today's Army wants you, which is kind of a throwback to, you know, I want you for the US Army type of thing. Kind of, I think, what it was probably going to. From there, it also did today's Army wants to join you, which that one I think was kind of weird. And I think they probably even agreed. I think they even kind of commented saying that it kind of wasn't getting the right message across. It's kind of a weird way of wording things. Today's Army wants to join you. I think it's, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get behind the person, and it's, I don't know, it's a weird wording, and it's kind of just confusing. Then they have like this long one, right? The Army is changing. We want to meet you halfway. It just doesn't roll off the tip of your tongue. It was kind of a weird one that they kind of have in there that this firm kind of came up with as a slogan to try to get people to be interested in joining, but definitely not very catchy at all. Not much better, and probably not better at all, I guess. You know, then they go to join the people who've joined the Army. And that still is not something, you know, people are going to remember. That's not very catchy at all. And then from there, I think they definitely simplified things a little bit better to this is the Army. And that's actually pretty catchy. That's not too bad. That's essentially what the join the people who've joined the Army evolved into, because I think they realized that, you know, that slogan isn't kind of working. So then they simplified things to this is the Army. But these slogans were kind of utilized in the 70s from 1971 to roughly about 1980 before we start getting to some better ones, because then you move to be all that you can be. And it's a great one, right? You had some great commercials for the time frame. I have a video where I reacted to some of the commercials during that time frame, but you got some good commercials that you were kind of utilized then. That slogan got used for a long time, right? That slogan got used from 1980 all the way up until 2001. The individual that created that was an individual named Earl Carter, and he actually got an award from the United States Army in 2003. Got an award for Outstanding Civilian Service Award for, I guess, being the person that came up with that campaign. And it was great. It was a good one. It's the one that I remember from when I joined the Army. But of course, it did eventually change come 2001. Moving into 2001, Be All You Can Be, or Be All That You Can Be, got replaced by Army of One. And I remember when they switched over to that, a lot of us would joke around saying, I'm an Army of One, trying to kind of say that I'm an individual. That is obviously not what they were trying to get out of this. They were trying to make it seem like, you know, teamwork, and, you know, by being a team, you're an Army of One. And I think that's what they were trying to go for, but it wasn't kind of coming across that way. And I remember just a lot of us just joking around, you know, sorry, Sergeant, I'm an Army of One. I do what I want to do, or whatever. You know, we always had jokes related to Army of One. But something that you did kind of get out of the Army of One was there was some good commercials. They had a good campaign going on with some pretty cool commercials. I think I remember during that time frame, they were pretty motivating. They were probably just straight up just trying to be something cool kind of thing. So they did at least accomplish that. But Army of One lasted from 2001 to 2006 before it eventually got replaced with Army Strong. Now, Army Strong, I think, also had some pretty good commercials. It had a pretty cool song. I remember that, you know, it was kind of like this motivating song in the background. And I like to sometimes, you know, play that song in the background and just off the top of my head kind of give some kind of motivational speech. And I think it's kind of fun to do kind of thing. Maybe try it sometime if you're familiar with the song. But it was kind of a good thing to kind of have that motivating song in there. But I think the slogan was also still kind of weird. For me, anyways, Army Strong I don't know. I always think of it as what like the Incredible Hulk would say, or a caveman or something like that. Army Strong, right? It doesn't. It you know, it had some good meaning behind it. Like it had like some cool examples with some cool commercials where it was like there's strong and then there's Army Strong. So it's kind of saying that, you know, if you're strong, you're here, but if you're Army Strong, you're way up here. And they had like different kind of cool commercials that did kind of were kind of motivating, right, in a way, with that kind of campaign. But just when you say it by itself, Army Strong, it just felt weird. It just felt like you're someone who doesn't know how to speak English properly, or you're a caveman and you're not able to put together full sentences. So that part just kind of felt weird to me. That lasted though from 2006 to 2018 before they then changed it up to a couple of different ones. They first started off with Warriors Wanted, which Warriors Wanted was decent. When they were using it in the right way, it was kind of cool. I like the Warriors Wanted one, especially it was during this time frame where the Army just really was using the hell out of the word warrior, right? They changed, you know, the non-commissioned officer course from PLDC, right? That was the basic non-commissioned officer's course to become a sergeant, to become an E5, right? It was called PLDC, which is the primary leaders development course, right? And then they changed it to the Warriors Leaders course. And then they had just a lot of other things they were changing to warrior this, warrior that. And so they were using the hell out of that word warrior. They then kind of switched it over to What's Your Warrior, which I think was confusing. I think it was better as Warriors Wanted, where you started getting a little controversial, right? You started getting a lot of these kind of woke type of commercials that a lot of people were kind of getting upset about and kind of annoyed with, where they're missing the old days of like Army of One and Army Strong kind of motivational commercials. And now it just seemed like the Army was trying to get an agenda across, trying to, I don't know, it was just kind of annoying with the way they were marketing some of the stuff in there. And that definitely kind of, you know, encouraged change to come about. Because then in 2023, well, went back to Be All You Can Be, which I am glad about that, right? You had the original one like in the 80s, which technically is Be All That You Can Be. And then the modern one, the nude one from 2023, they just recently switched over to, kind of gets rid of the that in there. And it's just Be All You Can Be, right? But I mean, even people back when it was in the 80s and the 90s, you know, and it was Be All That You Can Be, some people just leave out the that anyway. So not that big of a deal, but I like that one. And hence that one actually is probably my number one on my top 3 list, is the Be All You Can Be one. I think it's maybe the nostalgia of that was the slogan when I came in the Army. The commercials were cool. They have to work on some things to maybe get some of those commercials back to being cool. They've had a couple of campaigns that were kind of neat, but I haven't really seen any really, you know, commercials coming out of this campaign just yet that have really gotten me that excited. I mean, there's some here and there that were like, that's kind of cool, but nothing that was like, man, awesome, that was cool. So they're probably still gonna have to work on some things if they want to really get some good motivational stuff out of, you know, this new Be All You Can Be campaign. But that's probably number 1 on my list. Number 2 on the list, I would probably have to say Army of One. You know, we gave it crap. Had some really cool commercials though, and I think if they would have, I don't know, maybe somehow expressed the meaning behind it a little bit better, maybe it could have been a little bit better. But Army of One wasn't too bad. It was better than Army Strong. It was better than What's Your Warrior, in my opinion. But I like that one at number 2. Number 3, though, I'd probably have to go old school, and I'd probably have to say I Want You for the US Army, the old school Uncle Sam one. Maybe the nostalgia of it is kind of cool. You know, those posters were pretty iconic with Uncle Sam, you know, pointing his finger, you know, at you, kind of a thing to try to get you enlist. So that's kind of cool. So I'd probably round that one out at number 3. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What would be your top 3 slogans of these ones? If you know of some of the slogans, from even pre, World War I, cool. Maybe comment about those if there's one of those ones that's your favorite, because they did have some slogans back then too. But I was kind of starting with the more familiar ones, from World War I and on. But that's my top 3. Love to hear your top 3. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, you want to learn more about the United States Army, have some fun about the United States Army, make sure you subscribe and check out this video right here that YouTube recommends. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.